Hi there, folks. Welcome to the next episode in Quality Homes seminar series. And today we're talking all things heating and cooling for your home. And joining me is Bryan of Bryan's Fuels. Welcome, Roy.
Thanks, Howard.
Roy, we've been working with you for decades and it's been a great relationship. Give us some background as to Bryan's Fuels and how the company started and what you've grown to today.
Well, it's a long story, but I'll keep it very short. The company started in 1924. It was started by my grandfather and namesake, Roy Bryan. And they were in the coal business then, but they were using coal to heat homes and delivered coal. And over the years, we grew into fuel oil, from fuel oil to propane. And for the last 40 years, we've been an HVAC contractor. Those two things marry very well. Obviously, to be able to burn these fuels or use these fuels, you need appliances, and the appliances have to be installed with a certain degree of expertise. So we saw the synergy in that, and that's why we're doing both.
Obviously, we've been working together for some 30 years now, and I would love to get down to the basics with you, Roy, in terms of heating and cooling and all things to do with energy efficiency, because it's become a major expense to heat and cool a home and to do it efficiently. Also, with people working from home now, extended hours indoors, so air quality is critically important. So, if you could explain to us right from the get-go in terms of heating your home, how a furnace basically works and where the efficiencies are and why high efficiency furnaces are so important.
Yeah, well, I mean, so a furnace coupled with a distribution system, which in 99% of Quality Homes' case is a duct system. Those things coupled together heat and cool your entire home. Heat, cool, control the humidity, and control the quality of the air you breathe. So so that it's a system, and the furnace is one part of the system. The air conditioner is a part of the system. The air cleaner, the humidifier, those are all parts, and the ductwork are all parts of the system, which together do two things. They make you comfortable, and they eat away at your pocketbook. So it's important that you choose a system that's going to both make you comfortable and do it at a reasonable cost. So
we've had a previous seminar, Roy, on building science, and we build our homes very well insulated, and I imagine that is the other part of the equation to keep those costs down. So the efficiency of the heating or cooling mechanism plus the home itself goes a long way to help that. And another component is the HRV. We put that in each and every one of our homes. Give us a little background and information as to the efficiencies of HRV and why they're so important to be included in that system.
Well, HRV stands for heat recovery ventilator. So it's with every step forward, there's always a good part and a bad part. And making a very efficient house is really good for the cost to heat and cool it, but it has a negative impact on the air quality. And so we breathe in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide, and if you do that within a plastic bag, the oxygen over time will change to all carbon dioxide. So because Quality Homes builds such an efficient house, we have to mechanically ventilate it. That means we basically, in a heat recovery ventilator, there are two fans. One blows air out of the house, stale carbon dioxide filled air, and another blows fresh oxygen filled air into the house. And they do that equally, because the house is not a balloon. It doesn't get up and down. It stays at one side. And so So that's really good for the air quality. But what's bad about that is that the air you blow out, you just paid to heat up, and the air you blow in, especially in the winter, is cold. It's outdoor air. So in the heat recovery ventilator, there's a passive core which transfers the heat from the air that you're blowing out into the air that's coming in. And it does about 80% of that. So so the whole point of the heat recovery ventilator is balancing the quality of the air that you breathe with the cost that it's involved in heating and cooling that. So yeah, it's I mean, since I started doing QualityHomes 30 years ago, they've been there ever since. But like everything else, the quality and the efficiency of those have gone up. So yeah,
the new units are quite something. Talking about efficiency, Roy, you know, we throw around the term high efficiency furnace. Could you just give us some sort of frame of reference as to why it's high efficiency, what the levels of that high efficiency can be, and some of the potential custom options that a customer could choose in the furnace for their home?
Yeah, so high efficiency, really, I mean, it's a term that's, I think, often misused, but I think the generally accepted definition is that it's a condensing furnace. So whenever you burn a hydrocarbon being wood, coal, oil, gas, propane, you make carbon dioxide and you make water. And when you burn it, the water is in the form of a vapor. And the heat exchanger inside a modern high efficiency furnace takes so much heat out of that water vapor that it changes from a vapor back to a liquid. And so any high efficiency appliance has water coming out at the bottom of it. And when you condense the liquid, you release what's called its latent heat. And we're getting now even the standard furnace that we install in a quality home gets 96% of the heat goes into the house, and only 4% of the heat goes out the exhaust pipe on the side. And that can go all the way up to 99% in the premium furnace. So the features of a premium furnace, besides that extra few percentage points of efficiency, are two-stage or variable stage. And that really means that when we size a furnace, we have to size it to heat your house on the very coldest day of the year. But by far the majority of that time, you don't need that amount of heat. So for example, a two-stage furnace will come on at 60% of capacity. And 95% of the time, that's all it'll ever do. And in fact, a variable speed will come on at as low as 35%. And what it's trying to do is more or less match the capacity of the furnace with the demand. So the colder it is outside, the higher the demand. If it's bitterly cold, it will be running at second stage. But you know, most days, even in the winter, it will never come on to second stage. What causes it to change between first and second is the temperature differential between what you have for a set point and what it is. So if you set your house for 20, if it falls to 19, it will come on in first stage. But if first stage does not keep up with what the demand is and it drops to 18, then it will go to second stage. But when it gets back to 19, it'll go back to first stage. And the beauty of first stage is it's quieter, more gentle, even heat. We're always putting a little bit of heat in the house rather than a blast of heat, and then it cools down in another blast of heat. So a lot of people like that two-stage feature or variable feature, but because the current requirements in Ontario are that all furnaces must be at least 96% efficient, there's not a lot, it doesn't affect your pocketbook a lot. It's more about quality of the heat than it is about the cost. A Riverstone is a great example. A Riverstone that in the late 90s would have used 3,500 liters of propane, today uses less than 2,000 liters. It's really amazing. I mean, they were fabulous houses back then, but they have not rested on their laurels at all.
Thanks, Roy. That's really good info as far as different heating options are concerned. In terms of air quality, and this is my last question on that, in that regard, with people spending more time at home, I know we have the passive filter in the system that I'm sure you're going to give us some tips on when to change and how frequently, but talk us through some more of the air purification options that you offer for our customers.
Yeah, so I mean, there's really a myriad of products that are on the market now. The standard filter that we install is called MERV 11. It really determines how small of a particle it will take out of the air. The filter is 5 inches thick. It's pleated, so there's a lot of surface area, because one of the negative things about passive filters is the more you filter out of the air, the more of those particles stop the air from going through the filter. So it's very important to have a very large surface area when you have a good filter, because otherwise eventually no air gets through it, right? But now we have germicidal lights that kill viruses and germs, all kinds of germs. We have there's just there are a lot of possibilities. Most of the really upper end are related to people who have maybe severe allergies or asthma, those kinds of things, and they may have a doctor's recommendation that they get those things. So to a certain extent, every situation is different, but you can pretty much be assured that the better job you do of cleaning the air, the more expensive it is going to be, both in the first time cost and in a maintenance kind of situation. So again, every customer has to sort of weigh the positives and the negatives of their particular situation.
Fascinating. Roy, let's move on to alternate systems. I know that there are quite a few technologies that are gaining foothold, and also in-floor heat seems to be becoming more and more popular. Can you take us through some of the more popular and readily available systems?
Well, so let's talk about in-floor heat first of all. So we do in-floor heat in a lot of quality homes. The majority, I would say, we're only doing it in the basement as a supplement. And really, it's a fantastic solution for there, because, a lot of people think of, if, for example, if you had a bungalow and you had your bedroom in the basement, you would think, well, you're the low man on the totem pole in that household, because it tends to be cold and damp and not as comfortable. But if you have a radiant floor heat in your basement, I mean, you have no compromise whatsoever. There's none. And so, I mean, you think there's obviously a cost to doing that. But if you thought of yourself, say you thought you needed 2,400 square feet of living space. If you had a 2,400 square foot bungalow with an unused basement, or a 1,200 square foot bungalow with a totally used basement, I mean, the cost is way less.
Of course, right.
But there is no compromise in the quality of the heat. So I guess in the olden days, if you had to have a basement or a bedroom in the basement, you shoved the kids. The youngest kid got the room in the basement. But now it could be the parents. The master bedroom could be just as easily in the basement. So yeah, it's a great solution. It's a great solution.
Before you move on, we're seeing a number of multi-generational projects where families are combining different generations. Mom and dad are living with the kids, or vice versa. So yeah, you make a brilliant point in terms of making the basement a perfect living space.
Yeah. No,
what other technologies are around, Roy, that are popular and cost efficient?
Well, so when you talk about efficiency, I mean, so the world is at a tipping point. I think we're all likely almost all aware of that. So burning fossil fuels puts carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide increases the overall temperature of the atmosphere, and increasing the temperature of the atmosphere has a negative impact in many, many ways that we're just really tuning into, I guess you would say right now. So the world is, and really we're just at the beginning of this, but the world's moving away from fossil fuels. And in North America and most places, the way they're going to do that is going to be electric. So particularly in Ontario, as we know right now, very little of our electricity is generated by burning fossil fuels. The majority comes from wind, solar, nuclear, and hydroelectric, none of which puts carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So the problem is that electric heat is expensive. And so the solution to expensive electric heat is what's called a heat pump. And a heat pump uses a refrigeration process to move heat from the outdoor air to the inside. Just as your refrigerator removes heat from the ice box or the freezer portion of that. So it takes heat out of air inside your freezer that is likely minus 10 degrees Celsius. It makes it minus 12. It moves that heat to the coil that's behind the refrigerator. In a house, we take the heat out of the outdoor air and we move it inside the house. So that's free heat, aside from to make the refrigeration process work, we need a compressor. But the way we judge efficiency in heat pumps, it's called COP, coefficient of performance. And COP of 2 means that for every kilowatt you buy from hydro, you get 2 kilowatts of heat in the house.
Wow.
And so there are many kinds of heat pumps, but from the very premium, which is GeoThermal heat pump, which we install in a number of quality homes every year, has a COP of 4. So that means, and COP of 4 is lower cost than even natural gas is right now. So lower operating costs. There is a higher upfront cost, but lower operating cost. It's a bit of a journey, and it's not like like heat pumps have not been that popular, especially in Canada. And so the technology is really moving quickly right now, and it's difficult for a consumer to figure out when to jump on the train and when to jump off. I mean, I think what's going to be available 2 and 3 and 5 years from now is going to just make what we're installing now seem like the dark ages. And it's going to be cheaper too, because it's going to be the primary way of heating homes. And then air sourced heat pumps, which simply take the heat out of the air, they become less efficient as it gets colder outside. But the modern units, we saw a Mitsubishi unit that even at the coldest day of the year, minus 25 degrees Celsius, it still has a COP of 2 and is getting 100% of its heat. So it's what's going to happen is that carbon tax. So the purpose of carbon tax is to make carbon emitting fuels more expensive, and hopefully that will entice consumers to go to electrification, to non-carbon burning fuels. Carbon tax will increase every year from now till 2030. It'll be 4 times what it is then. And so it's going to make electricity more and more attractive, as long as we can produce enough of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, supply and demand with electric cars coming on and everything else. It's a very interesting conundrum, but a very important one. Roy, net zero seems to be the train has left the station. I know it's going to be mandated down the road. Just give us a quick overview of a net zero, producing as much as it absorbs, that equation, and how it best works.
Yeah, well, I mean, net zero means that you're not putting any carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and there's many ways of doing it. you can buy carbon credits, you know, which somebody else has saved it, and you buy the effort they've put into it. You can have solar panels on your roof that are most solar panels in Ontario are net metering. So the hydro that it generates goes into the grid, and you really buy it off and buy it back off the grid. And I mean, it's really the way the world is going to have to go, or else we're going to have to adapt to, you know, the kinds of situations we've had out west, all last flooding and heat bombs and all these kinds of things. So a lot of our effort is going towards being net zero, which means no carbon dioxide production.
Thanks, Roy. That's really helpful. So in closing, I'd really like to have you remind our customers about the included heating system with the Quality Home, how efficient it is, and how they can reach out to you if they have more specific questions around some of the options that we've discussed today.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, we're trying to be a progressive HVAC contractor. So, you know, our head is not stuck in the sand on any one given technology. We talk about a lot of these things on our website. That's www.bryansfuel.on.ca. Or you can certainly call us. Lots of times, the salespeople at Quality Homes will actually refer you to us when you get, or when or if you have more complex questions, I guess I would say. So we're always willing to do that. You know, we've had a great relationship with Quality Homes over the years, and as I say to the people that work for me, that's how we feed our kids. So we're happy to help.
Right. It really has been an outstanding relationship. Thank you for all you do for us, and particularly for our customers. And, you know, we look forward to journeying down the road of efficiency and, you know, being better corporate climate responsibility partners. Thank you for all you do for us on a daily and weekly basis. It's tremendous. Thank you.
Thank you. The pleasure is all ours.